Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is the beginning of Thanksgiving prep. Today is Tuesday, 2 days before Thanksgiving. So I'm gonna start prepping some of the savory dishes today. Turkey is in the refrigerator in the garage, thawing out because it was frozen in the freezer. I have it on a sheet pan so there's no drippage. So I'll be taking care of that tomorrow. I took out the turkey yesterday. So yesterday was Monday, today's Tuesday. So today I'm making broccoli casserole, which is a dish that my husband's family, when I got introduced to them, has brought to almost for, what is it, Christmas, New Year's, and Thanksgiving. Never had it before, but basically it's 4 ingredients. It's broccoli, it's Ritz crackers, Velveeta cheese, and melted butter. Normally, their recipe when they make it was with the chopped frozen broccoli, but there was none. It seems like everybody buys that for Thanksgiving. So this is what I pretty much got. I got fresh broccoli, so I'm gonna chop that up pretty small to get that going and use that instead. So let me start doing that. So that is 1 bag of the Kroger broccoli that I had gotten. Can't see right now. 2 pounds, 32 ounces. I brought 3 bags. I wasn't sure how much I needed, but 1 bag filled up 1 entire tray. So the rest of that broccoli is going to be eaten for dinners, yes, or frozen. And then I chopped up the Velveeta into small cubes. I'm going to keep chopping, but you actually put it in, not just on top, but in. So push it in and get it really in there as well. So I got to do that. So I didn't need, it was probably about half of that container of the Velveeta, which was, how many ounces that is? Yep. And then I really tried getting the cheese underneath and everything like that. So now this dish is done for now. I'm going to put aluminum foil on it and put it in the refrigerator, and the day of Thanksgiving, all I have to do is crush Ritz crackers in a Ziploc, add some melted butter, put it on the top, and bake it about 375, or whatever my oven feels like doing it on that day. So this dish number 1 done. Here's dish number 2, mashed potatoes. So I peeled organic russet, Idaho russet potatoes, and I put them in water with these little sweet potatoes that I got from the CSA. So I peeled those. Always like to add a little extra oomph to the dish. Beta carotene, vitamin, what is it, vitamin A? Anyway, so that is dish number 2, boiling the potatoes to mash them. And then, of course, I'm going to finish them off on Thanksgiving with the milk and the butter. And here is dish number 3, Trader Joe's stuffing. Now, I've made cornbread stuffing by scratch, where I made my own cornbread, and it was really, really good. But I've always changed it up. It depends on my mood, how much I actually do want to make from scratch, how much time do I have. And since we're 2 days before Thanksgiving, and I do want to make a lot of dishes because I am having surgery on December 4th. So I want a lot of leftovers since we're not having any company over for dinner this year. We're going to have a lot of leftovers, which would also help out in the household when I do have that surgery. But the recovery is going to be really quick, so I won't be down and out. But at least I know there's going to be plenty of food in the refrigerator for everyone in the house. So right now I have some chicken stock that I had to thaw. I have another one that's frozen. Not sure if I'm going to need it. And then I chop up some celery and some onions really small. I got to chop these up with the chopper. I am going to saute them and soften them up in butter, unsalted butter, which I have in the refrigerator. So I'm going to do that. And then it kind of all just kind of gets mixed together. And then in the refrigerator so that I can bake it the day of. I got to see if I want to throw anything else in there. Chances are I'm not. Boys are very picky about it. They like just plain stuffing. When I start trying to get all fancy and cranberries and whatnot, sausages, mushrooms, yeah, they don't go for it. So this is basically all I'm doing. There's the butter melting. And in goes the onions and the celery. So this is the croutons from one box of the Trader Joe's cornbread stuffing. I did buy 2, but it looks like one's enough. And then now I have an extra one in case I want to have stuffing for another regular day. And it does come with a seasoning packet mix, so I do not have to add any kind of seasonings. Maybe I'll put some thyme in it, but I am adding the sauteed onions and celery. And I did put a little salt and pepper, and I threw butter in there, so that's going to moisten it. The recipe, the box actually says to use 3½ cups of broth or 4 cups of broth, depending on how dry or moist you want it. Since that was almost a quart, that's 4 cups. So I'm going to throw that in there, and if it seems a little too dry on Thanksgiving Day, I'll just put a little more chicken broth. So I'm going to actually put that back in the freezer. And then I throw it in the oven with some butter. So that's dish number 3. So I'm going to attempt to mix this. Funny. And I think to make it evenly distributed, I'm going to add the seasoning packet to the broth. Probably mix better when the croutons are moistened up. So my broth is all thawed. Gonna add the whole thing. There you go. Now it mixes better. So these croutons are just gonna soak up that broth. And when it cools, I'm gonna cover it and put it in the refrigerator to bake with butter. I'm gonna put more dollops of butter on top on Thanksgiving Day. So the potatoes are done, nice and soft. I drained them and put them back in the pot, and that's a stick of unsalted butter. So I'm going to let that melt, and I'm just going to mash it with my mashing utensil here and put it in another dish, and that will be dish number 3. Well, it was actually number 2. But then the day of Thanksgiving, I'll just heat up some milk and probably some more butter, and then taste it to see if it needs salt, and then call it a day. And there, dish number 2 is finished. Hey guys, so day 2 of Thanksgiving prep. Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. So I did the broccoli casserole. I set the mashed potatoes up, and I set up the stuffing. So today I want to do the pumpkin coffee cake, the baked mac and cheese, and the corn casserole. So I wanted to do those 3 today. So the easiest one, baked mac and cheese. So I already got the water boiling, well, almost to a boil. So I'm going to set that up. And then I have to pull out my recipe for the corn casserole and the pumpkin coffee cake. This time I'm using penne pasta for my baked mac and cheese, because that's what I have. So I'm going to use the penne. I got my recipes out for the spoon bread. So the corn casserole, they also call it spoon bread. So guess it depends on where you're from. In New York, we called it corn casserole. And then down here in the South, I noticed they called it spoon bread. So I got the recipes out, and then I have to start pulling out the ingredients for that. I think my butter has to soften for the coffee cake. So I got to check on that and get that butter out so it could be soft later on. My pasta is done, and I shredded a whole bunch of cheese. I actually had some leftover unexpected cheddar from Trader Joe's, so I just threw that in the mix as well. I also need to save some of the cheddar for the spoon bread, so I'm going to save some of this for the spoon bread. But got my breadcrumbs, and I'm going to mix that up. I have to butter the dish, and baked mac and cheese will be ready to be baked tomorrow. So baked mac and cheese, I buttered this dish, and so I'm just going to cover it. It's going to go in the refrigerator, and tomorrow all I have to do is put a little drizzle of milk and bake it. So mac and cheese done. So now I'm going to make the corn casserole, aka spoon bread. So one of the ingredients you need is a can of cream corn, and I never buy it. I always end up making it. So I had some frozen corn, and I put some in my magic bullet to just puree it a little bit. And then just like mac and cheese, I'm going to make my own cream corn. So I'm going to use some butter and flour, equal parts. But you only need like a can's worth, so not too big like I do for macaroni and cheese. Just a little bit. I'm going to add the milk to thicken, and then instead of cheese, you add the corn. And then there's your cream corn. Then I'm going to let it cool down and do the rest of the ingredients. So this is the recipe that I've pulled out. And it does ask for sour cream, 3 eggs, a box of Jiffy Mix, but I always use the Trader Joe's cornbread, my favorite. And then, of course, the leftover corn in my bag there, I throw in there as well. And that's pretty much, you know, butter, melted butter. We do add some cheese. I don't remember if this one has the cheese in it. I do add some of the cheese, so not all of that is going in there, just a little bit, because Sean's complained before about the cheese, and I don't know why. I don't know why. But yeah, I'm going to find where I got this recipe and link it below. But that is our corn casserole. A quick tidbit. My mother-in-law made this one year for Thanksgiving. The last year we were in New York, we hosted Thanksgiving in our house before we moved here to Tennessee, and she brought this over, and everyone loved it. So she did give me the recipe, but I don't remember where it is, and eventually I Googled it, and down here they call it spoon bread. So I found that one. Same ingredients, she said, so I just follow that one. Okay. Ah! There it is, my spoon. So I only put like a little pat of butter and 1 tablespoon of flour. Like I said, not making a whole pot of it, just a can's worth. And then you add the milk. Yeah, that's good. Let that thicken, and then I'll add the corn. So now that's all thickened and hot, and I burnt some of the bottom out, but now I'm going to put in the pureed corn. And I didn't puree it too much. I wanted chunks because you do want some corn kernels in there. I'll just scrape out the rest of it. And then I'm just going to put a little salt and pepper, and there is my creamed corn. And since the recipe asks for a stick of melted butter, I'm going to put the melted butter in here, well, the butter in here to melt, so I'm not dirtying another pot. So that'll all cool down, but the butter's going to melt, and then there were my 2 ingredients in one shot to add to the recipe. The butter's melted, and look at that. Excuse me. Cream corn. I was going to put the... Yeah, that's fine. Now I'm going to put the rest of the corn because you want big kernels of corn in there. Come on. And mix that throughout. Here is the Trader Joe's cornbread mix in there. I got to add 1 cup of sour cream and 3 eggs with a little bit of cheese and the creamed corn. So I need 2 hands for that. So you'll see it when it's all mixed together. So that's 1 cup sour cream, 3 eggs, the creamed corn, which had extra corn kernels and the half stick of melted butter. And now I'm just going to put just a handful of cheese. Yeah, a little more. There you go. And then you mix it. So now I'm not baking this until Thanksgiving. So I'm just going to leave it all mixed. And I'm going to cover it and put it in the refrigerator. And tomorrow it will get baked. Is all combined. I cleaned up the sides a little bit because I'm going to keep it in this dish. This is the Rock Crock from Pampered Chef. Cover it. Goes in the refrigerator. So now tomorrow, 375 for 35 to 40 minutes or until golden. So spoon bread / corn casserole, done. And now for the third dish of the day is the pumpkin coffee cake. Or William Sonoma likes to call it pumpkin squares. So, oops, here's the recipe. If you want to screenshot it, but I'll post it below. So it's like 3 parts. So the bottom part of it, you take a box of cake mix, yellow cake mix, and you separate 1 cup. So here is the 1 cup. This one ends up being the streusel topping. Let's push that back there. And then the remainder of the yellow cake mix ends up being the base. So you add 1 stick of melted butter, which is 1/2 cup. I'll get all that yumminess out of there. And we're going to add 1 egg. There's my 1 egg, and then you mix it well. So I'll mix that well, not on camera. And then you're going to put it in a buttered 9x13 baking dish. And you spread it out on the bottom of the dish. I love the smell of yellow cake batter. I'm one of those girls that I love cake batter ice cream. Oh my, I'll eat the batter. That's one of my downfalls. I have 3 downfalls. Cake batter, mashed potatoes, and Ruffles potato chips or kettle chips with onion dip. Or, oh, I do have another one. Spinach artichoke dip with tortilla chips. Oh my God. Those are my 4 downfalls. I have 4. This is one of them. If it was a cake, I'd be eating it. But so that's step 1, and then on to step 2. Step 2, which is the filling, you need a jar of pumpkin butter. Usually with Williams Sonoma, it's the pumpkin pecan butter, but I was too late to the party, which you would see on my vlog. I think it's the 2nd vlog of my birthday. So this is the first time I've seen the caramel pumpkin butter at Williams Sonoma. So these are the ounces of obviously the filling that you need. So I'm trying caramel pumpkin butter for the first time. I told the woman, let's give it a try. So she told me to let her know how it comes out. And I did pick up an apple butter one, which I want to make the same thing with the apple butter in it for Christmas time. But we're going to use this right now. So you need a jar of that. So to this bowl, the 2nd bowl, you add the pumpkin butter, the entire jar, 2 eggs. I don't want to spill it, but an 1/8 cup of milk. And then you mix that up, which I'll mix, and then pour it over the base. So I spread the middle mixture of the pumpkin butter with the eggs and the milk on the second layer, all over the base. You can smell the nutmeg. Oh my God, it smells so good. This is a good coffee cake. And then whatever left over you have for coffee, with coffee the next morning on Black Friday, if you're not shopping like me, and just enjoy the house nice and quietly and not fighting a crowd. Delicious. And then the third layer is that 1 cup of cake mix. Then you add 1 stick of softened butter. What the hell? And then a teaspoon of cinnamon. And this is where you get your workout in. And then you have to cut it in, you know. And that's the streusel. And, oops, there are more ingredients. So, I think it said 1... Sorry. Oh, put my glasses on. Jeez, Tamara. So we do need 1/2 cup of sugar and 1 cup of flour. So we are going to add that to the soft butter and the cinnamon and then mix it in. So I added the 1 cup of flour and 1/2 cup of sugar. And I have the 1/2 stick of butter and the 1 cup of yellow cake mix. And I'm adding a teaspoon, maybe a little more than a teaspoon, of cinnamon. And then you have to cut it. So I'm going to need my muscles for this. This takes a while until it gets grainy looking, very crumbly looking. And that's your streusel for the top. So there you have it. It looks coarse and crumbly and smelling delicious. Oh, that's going to be a disaster. Now I'm going to pour that on top of that, layer it nice. Look at that. So I put the streusel topping on top. I have my oven going to 350. In my house, it's 355 because Tamara, the oven, likes to do things her own way. And then it has to bake for 35 to 40 minutes till slightly golden on top. Williams-Sonoma does this every year before Thanksgiving in the fall season. Such an easy peasy, great recipe. And obviously you can experiment with different butters, fruit butters. But yeah, that's going to go in the oven. And then when it cools down, I'll just cover it and leave it out, because we'll have it for dessert tomorrow with the leftover dump cake that I didn't ruin, the apple dump cake. So, like I said, it's just the 5 of us. So, third dish, almost done. The only other thing is the turkey. I think I'm going to try some dry brining. I was looking online. There you go. It's ready. Dry brining. So, I think I'm going to do that. My turkey is all thawed, so I think I'm going to dry brine it overnight. As I sit here waiting for my coffee cake to cook, I wanted to show you what I've been keeping. So I made a menu planning notebook for all my parties to remember what I've done. I got inspired by an article in a magazine. I think it was a Martha Stewart magazine. Somebody had found her mom's old party planning notebook with notes and recipes and people and everything, and then even got more inspired. Actually, I was doing this before Giada De Laurentiis came out with that holiday handbook that they have on the Food Network. So I actually started this quite a while ago. So as you can see, I would write down, see Michael and Matthew's graduation, barbecue. Did I put the date? Yep, June 2014. And in fact, I think this is the article of, let's see. Yes, this is the article. Dinner Party Diaries. What magazine was this? It doesn't say. So yes, I kept the article that inspired me to start keeping a notebook, and I would write down what I put out, appetizers. I even write down, well, that party I didn't, or did I? I would write down who came. I write down recipes. Here's Thanksgiving 2014. So things that I don't want to forget, new things that I've tried. There's that, oh, cornbread stuffing. See, and then I wrote Katie Lee. I got that recipe from her. Yeah, so I have been doing this since 2014, and I write down, and I stick in recipes. I paper clip them in there. Oops. Isn't that cute? Paper clip recipes in there that I keep going to. The Italian cookies, I think that's one of those recipes. The Italian rainbow cookies I've been doing for the past 2 Christmases, so I'm going to do that again this year. But yeah, and now we are, that's 2018 Thanksgiving, and now, I just did it, Thanksgiving 2019. See, so this is everything I did. I'm going to roast a turkey, but I did the Trader Joe's cornbread stuffing, baked mac and cheese, spoon bread, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole. I'm going to be doing gravy and cranberry sauce, but I can do that the day of. I'm doing the pumpkin coffee cake. I already have leftover apple dump cake. And we're going to put out some ice cream with Halloween candy toppings bar. So I'm going to chop up the the Snickers bar and any chocolate, and they can just sprinkle it on top. And I think I'm going to make homemade whipped cream. Oh, I should write that down too. But yeah, and then it's just us this year. So yeah, this is my memory party planning, menu planning notebook. Yay! And there it is, golden, and then when you insert the fork, comes out clean. I might just steal a little piece tonight. Excuse me. But yes, when that cools down, I'm just going to cover it, and it's just going to stay out overnight until tomorrow. I'm actually considering that being breakfast. A new tradition of Thanksgiving coffee cake for breakfast. I'll have to talk to John about that. I have a feeling he might agree. Also watching Allison Roman from New York Times Cooking. She did a Thanksgiving, so that's what that is. And that's why I was thinking about the dry brine. She just rubbed salt, sugar, and pepper all over the bird and just put it away overnight. So I'm waiting for that to come out so I can write that. I think I'm going to give that a try. And then I also bought from the Savory Spice Shop this golden maple dry glaze. So I have to read the instructions. I think this goes on last. Almost like, I guess they put these packets in the hams. So I got to read that, see if I'm going to do that. I've been trying different things with the turkey. Last year I did it in a bag, in one of those cooking bags. Always trying something new.
This is our brine. It's salt, pepper, sugar. That's it. I always really struggle with this part. So you want to try to get it on all sides, and like with these kind of weird parts, it's almost like trying to get sprinkles to stick on the side of a cake. You just kind of want to pack it on to each little bit, knowing that yes, it'll fall off like this, but we can always pat it back on. I'm going to tuck the wings. So the reason I do that is so I can expose this part of the wing, which I want to get as brown as possible. I'm going to put this in the fridge uncovered and let it hang out until tomorrow when I'm ready to roast it.
So there is my 18-pound chicken. Ooh, not chicken, turkey, my bad. And my roasting pan. And I made that dry brine, so salt, sugar, and pepper, which I'm going to link her recipe and video below. I love watching her. And I'm going to see if I can get that to stick. And then I'll just put it in the refrigerator. She said uncovered in the refrigerator overnight. And there it is. I did it. The brine didn't have too much trouble sticking. I used the Himalayan pink sea salt instead of kosher salt. But there's all my trays. There's the corn casserole. I have a lot of greens in there, kale. I might actually make a kale salad or creamed kale tomorrow. I think I still have some boursin. But that is it for day 2. Woo! So happy Thanksgiving, guys. It is Thanksgiving morning. We all had breakfast. The boys are setting the table. And here's the turkey, so I'm ready to get it in. I was reading the instructions on here. 450 degrees for the first half hour, and then 350 for the remainder of the time. I also heard somewhere like 15 minutes per pound. So this guy will be in there for a good 4 hours, I think. But internal temperature at 165, so I'm going to keep checking. But I did my dry brine, and then I was looking at this from Savory Spice Shop that I had gotten, and it says to drizzle this on the inside cavity and underneath the skin with butter. So I think I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to put some inside and under the skin with butter, and then I'm going to stuff it with some onions. I also have some apples, and I'm going to stuff it with garlic bulbs and some spices. I have rosemary, thyme, oregano, sage. I also have sage. I got this from, that's why they gave this to us at the farm. Sage bundle, rosemary, thyme, and sage. So I'm going to do that and get them in. I chopped up a green apple, 1 onion, 2 bulbs of garlic, and my butter. And I'm going to stuff them in the turkey. I sprinkled it everywhere. Everywhere. And I still like have half a bag left of this stuff. And it says you can put it on vegetables too. So it doesn't just have to be Thanksgiving. You can smell the sage in it. And I guess it has the maple. So in it goes. So 450 for 30 minutes. So there are the turkey neck and the giblets from the turkey. And my mother-in-law, every year when she was doing Thanksgiving, made a giblet gravy. So, snap, screenshot. So I'm going to do that for the gravy. I also have the Trader Joe's gravy, so I might actually have 2 gravies out. Or I might save the Trader Joe one in case, you know, for the leftovers when we run out of gravy and stuff like that. But at least I have the 2 options. So for the giblet gravy, my mother-in-law said to chop up the giblets. You add the turkey neck to the pan and chop up some onions and celery, and that all gets simmered with water in the pan for several hours. Well, not several hours, but then you have to add the juices of the turkey, so it doesn't get finished until the turkey is actually done. And then you can add gravy master, and she said you can also add, like, you know, a jar of turkey gravy. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add the Trader Joe's gravy to that as well, and I do have gravy master. So let me get that started. So everything's in there. And then I'm going to add water. I remember when I asked her, give me your gravy recipe. She's like, you're not going to like it. And then I found out what's in it. I was like, ew. But I guess way back when, you know, these recipes got passed down. And way back when, meat was scarce and you just had to use everything you can. So I stuck to tradition, even though it's ew. But I stuck to the tradition, and I do make this gravy for my mother-in-law every year. So I'm going to let that simmer. And then you add all the others, the drippings, the gravy master, and the turkey gravy later. We pulled the trays out of the refrigerator just so that they're not so cold when they have to be reheated, so that they could get heated up faster. So we're letting those get to room temperature while the turkey's cooking. But I did put the mashed potatoes in the crock pot. I put it on high because I still have a few hours left for the turkey. So I put it on high, and then I'm going to add the milk and the butter when it's heated throughout. Because I do have the corn casserole. So in my oven, I can only pretty much put 4 dishes. And with the mashed potatoes, That was 5 dishes. So now there's room for all the dishes after the turkey comes out. Turkey is ready. Internal temperature was actually a little over 165. So now I'm just going to get the sides in. So there's the baked mac and cheese. And I need to drizzle some milk in it. A little splash of milk. Cover it up. And then that goes in. And here's the broccoli casserole. So it needs its Ritz cracker topping with melted butter. So I have my melted butter in there. Let me just start it. There you go. And then I put 2 sleeves of the Ritz crackers in a Ziploc bag. And then Sean, have at it.
Sean, have at it.
Oh. Come on.
Sean, have at it.
Not too hard, because you don't want to pop the bag, to crush them. Come on, I don't have that much memory on my phone. 2 hands. Right. There you go.
Sean, have at it. Sean, have at it.
Yeah, I know. Do they look good and crushed? All right, let me just... So Sean did it nice and fine. Perfect. Yay. And then we just, here, pour it on the casserole dish.
She's second cousin to the boys, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you just pour it on top. Just pour it all on.
Mountain.
There you go.
Wait.
Okay. Yeah, you can throw it out. Throw it out. And then what I like to do is, again, push some in.
Oh, that's smart.
Get some in some crevices there. Oops, I think I dropped the broccoli. Okay, I'll do that, not on camera. But then you just pour the melted butter on top. Drizzle on top. And then we're gonna cover it and get it in the oven. Corn casserole doesn't need any addings to it, so that's gonna go in as well. So last tray is the stuffing. It doesn't need any more, what do you call it, stock. So I'm just gonna, oh, these got stuck. I'm gonna just pat it with butter so it gets all buttery and melty. And I'm gonna start it off with the aluminum foil on, and then later on take the aluminum foil off. That also goes for the broccoli casserole and the mac and cheese. So it's starting with the aluminum on, and then later on the aluminum off. I have the oven at it's supposed to be 375, but in my oven it's 380. And then for the mashed potatoes, since they're warming up in here, I'm just gonna stick the butter in there now. And so all I have to do is add the milk when it's hot. So I put some of the gravy master in it. She didn't really, write any measurements, not like I follow measurements. But I'm also going to throw this Trader Joe's gravy in there. I always love Trader Joe's gravy. So I'll throw that in there. And my turkey didn't have a lot of drippings. So whatever drippings I can get out of there, I'm going to put in there as well. And that's the turkey gravy. So for the cranberry sauce, I do have the Trader Joe's cranberry sauce that I like, my favorite. But this is my mother-in-law's recipe. John likes this one too. And I like both. So you need a can of whole cranberries. And then a can of crushed pineapples. But I think this one's too big. So I'm going to put half of that. And then you put walnuts in it and mix it around. And really, really nice. I like it. So there it is. I put about 2/3 of the pineapples. It does make quite a bit. And you put the walnuts. I'm going to put it in another dish to put on top of the table. And then leftovers, you mix it with softened cream cheese, and then you smear it on the toast the next morning. So that's something you can do with leftovers. I forgot where I heard that one. We've done it a couple times. That's also really tasty. I pulled out the corn casserole. I got to test that to see if it's ready. But all the other dishes are heated throughout, so I removed the aluminum foil. This one might need more. That one might need more. And then let me check on the potatoes. Yep, butter's melted. So I got to mix that up and put the milk, and we're pretty much done. I added milk and I added salt, and they are ready. So the corn casserole, probably because there's so many dishes in the oven, that one did not cook throughout yet. So when I remove the other tray, oh man, my downfall. When I remove the other trays, then I'm just going to probably bump up the fire a little bit to cook the rest of that casserole. For the gravy, I actually did a slurry of the cornstarch and water because I wanted it a little thicker. It seemed too thin. So I put that in there, so I'm going to let it simmer, but everything's done. John's carving the turkey. He's been slipping the cats a couple of pieces as well.
Oh, yeah.
But John's carving the turkey. The table's set. Let me show you the table. Table is set. We pull this out for Thanksgiving. This is my mom's and dad's wedding china, so I inherited it because they weren't using it, so I took it. But that is Thanksgiving. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family, celebrating the gratitude everyone feels at this time of the year. And I am very grateful for you guys because you have taught me as well as me teaching you. And I love, you know, chatting with you guys on the comments and stuff like that. You are becoming my family as well. So happy Thanksgiving and see you in the next video.